My work before the meltdown was primarily academic. Of course, I had just started a few years prior a lab, sort of a research group at Princeton that was working on different material strategies around robotics and things like that. But it was really sort of after the meltdown that the work started to matter to other people. A few things shifted. Of course, we had the beginning of reparations really starting to happen. First, because people could just take their data, right? So, I mean, the bank statements, the titles, the debt, all of that getting scrambled. But for me, the shift, what really changed, at least in my work and in architecture, was when people started coding. And I think people picked up the coding skills in order to sort the data packets, in order to do their own work in reparations, to take basically the algorithms that they were given in reparations and to do other things with them. It had been in Congress, put before Congress in the early 2000s. No one ever thought it was going to happen. But for Black Americans and those in the Caribbean, the data scrambling really became the beginning of reparations seeming like it could be possible. Because for the first time, no one knew what they were worth. No one knew how much money they had in the bank. And so it was possible politically to say, well, let's reset this in a way that's actually fair, right? Taking into consideration not just the 2 years of everyone's data being scrambled, but the past 200 years. And so that's when you started to see Oakland, Atlanta, New Orleans, for the first time becoming some of the wealthiest cities in the U.S. And of course, you saw in New York, Harlem becoming the wealthiest neighborhood. But it was really sort of out of that moment of everyone's data packets and sort of asset histories being scrambled and then having to resolve the algorithms to unscramble, that the reparations movement actually finally figued out how to change the economy in the U.S. And I guess it was maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, where my clients started to really come from people who already knew how to code. People who had been not necessarily building their own ways of building, but figuring out in code how to change the neighborhoods that they were living in and working in. So the combination of the money from reparations, the scrambled data packets, people coding, that's where the work that I had been doing really shifted from being academic work. And I think it's true for a lot of people, obviously, it's not just me. But from my vantage point, it was in Brooklyn, it was in Oakland, it was in New Orleans. Those were the places where the work that I had cared about that was academic started to actually change neighborhoods.